Take a look at what happened.
Move it spare. Hold. When you're ready. On you.
Ready?
Move.
Up.
Move.
Go. Hawkeye's here.
Move it to the spare.
Spare, get ready. Spare, get ready.
You ready? Are we good? Shooters down. Are we good to move?
We're
Let's
clear.
move.
We're clear.
Let's move.
We're clear. Let me get my shoes.
Got you, sir. I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes.
Hold that in your head. It's bloody.
So we gotta move to the bus. Let me get my shoes.
Okay, let's shoot down. Shoot.
Watch out.
Wait.
Folks, there are days where years happen and then years where days happen, and this is where this has been a week, a month, I don't know. This has been a historic moment that we've just seen and we've just witnessed here. Donald Trump was in Butler, Pennsylvania at a campaign rally on the 13th of July, 2024. And there was an apparent assassination attempt on the former president of the United States while he was in the midst of his campaign speech. We'll be pouring a lot over this video. I'm Dan from the internet, of course. There might be some Power Report contributors coming through this special coverage. Thank you all for those who are joining me live. Naturally, we are all reacting to this in real time. This is something that is happening in real time. Really interested as we're rolling into the comments, like what folks are thinking, what folks are seeing here. Of course, a lot of folks are going to be thinking about how this will affect the campaign for Joe Biden, for Donald Trump. The mini campaign to unseat Joe Biden that's going on right now. There's a lot of ramifications for all of that I think are worth discussing. And so we'll try to go through all those things right now. Number one, we just have to talk about this moment for what it is. Truly, like, this is a very touch and go moment for America as a state, as a democracy. I don't want to say that lightly. When you have heads of state, or former heads of state even, who are targeted in political assassinations like this. Now, I'm not going to, this is too early to even know who the shooter is. Apparently they have him in custody. I'm not sure whether he's dead or alive or not, so we'll see about that, and we're going to go and see what coverage exists right now. But as it currently is, we don't know exactly who did it. However, we do know that Donald Trump is running for president. He is the presumptive nominee of the Republican Party. He's literally going to be speaking at the convention this coming week at the time of talking right now. And so this is a political assassination attempt, just by those definitions. Now, as we saw in that video, Donald Trump walks off. It's actually really interesting. You hear, and I'll play this part of the video again once Secret Service starts to clear the situation. You can hear some of the audio of like, Mr. Trump, we have to go. Mr. Trump, we have to go. But Donald Trump always thinking about aesthetics in the moment first to his dying breath. Moves to, think about, wait, let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes. One moment. I need to stand up. I need to stand up. So I want to get that part here while we're at it, actually.
We ready? Are we good? Shooters down. Are we good to move?
We're
Let's
clear.
move. Let's move.
We're clear.
Okay, right here. Listen.
Let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes.
I got you, sir. I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir. Hold that in your head. It's bloody.
He repeatedly says, let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes. And the Secret Service agent's like, your head's bloody. He's like, let me get my shoes.
So we gotta move to the bus. Move to the bus. Let me get my shoes.
Okay, my shoes down. Get the shoes.
Watch out.
And when he said, like, wait, he knew there'd be a photo opportunity if he stood up from this moment and looked strong. Because, again, not to get too deep into this part of the conversation, but Donald Trump is looking weak. I mean, it's like, there we go. We're all doing it now. Joe Biden is looking weak right now in these press conferences. Donald Trump is able to stand strong in an assassination attempt. Like the optics alone, on a pure optics standpoint, this doesn't look good. And, I want to speak on optics for a moment because this is one of those historical moments that's going to be seen as changing political history, changing American history, because assassination attempts are really, they've been remarkably rare for presidents in America. As of late, they've usually been thwarted. But in this case, you've gotten one that's really close. You've gotten one with an active candidate. You've gotten one who has riled up his base and said repeatedly that this is, a moment in time where his political opponents are coming after him in the legal system. He was going as far back as 2016, saying that there was a deep state going after Donald Trump. And his base has been primed to believe this. This whole election process, the 2020 election cycle, where we kind of knew it was inevitable going to be a Trump versus Biden rematch, up until the first presidential debate, because so much changed after that on the Democratic side that I don't want to put that in the conversation just yet. But up till that point, it was a game of inches. Like it was a question of, okay, Donald Trump's base is locked in. Joe Biden's base is locked in. Who are the people in the middle going to start to lean towards? And it's hard to describe because you don't have many other things to compare this to. And so I think that anyone who is making a really informed opinion and not just like a total guess right now is lying to you. But if usually is the case is that if you have a person who is undecided, basically what I'm trying to say is that entire calculus where you thought you had built-in Trump voters is now gone. Trump can now expand his base because now you have people who are going to be galvanized, who are going to be motivated, who thought, oh, the stakes weren't that high, but now they're actually trying to kill him. And so Donald Trump is going to turn around and definitely use this to say that, like, oh, the deep state is coming after him. All these forces are coming after him because he's trying to make America great again. He's trying to do this, that, and the other thing. And we know through his policies, we know through what he did in his first administration, we know through what the GOP agenda is like. We know through how the GOP looks under a Donald Trump administration. Post-Trump administration, with Lara Trump being the head of the RNC, if I remember correctly, or at least having a really big role in their fundraising. Trump is on a path not just to victory of the Republican Party domination, not just now to victory in the presidency, but on a path to a justification for, a partial justification. I don't think this is a good one, but there's going to be people who go, well, the presidency is in danger and this is such a difficult time with a lot of political violence. There's going to be so much going on that it's justified if Donald Trump stays in past the original 2 terms we're supposed to give presidents. Republicans will argue for that. Republicans will fight for that. And so kind of the thing I'm thinking about right now is like the ball is really in the Democrats' court here. The Democrats really need to get fucking serious about this, because now you have a galvanized Donald Trump and a lit on fire Republican base who are now going to be adding voters, because you're going to have people coming out of the woodwork who are thinking that this is going to be a battle for the sanctity and the safety of America. I don't want Joe Biden fighting this battle. I would rather have anyone else but Joe Biden fighting this battle. And time is of the essence to really get serious about this. I was saying the fascism is already here, and I think we just saw the fascism start, because I'm not going to entertain the false flag stuff. I'm going to go to CNN and see, like, I'm just going to flip through some of the analysis of the different and see what's happening. But let's go, for example, we have some of CNN here. One moment.
The leader had given to former president, when protection had started. Typically when there is a perceived threat, we tell the protectees to lower down. The safest place for them to be when there's a perceived threat is to go down. That's the safest area, and the agents are right there on top of them. So again, I think that in this moment, you could see the former president was looking towards the right. Again, the moment that he felt something potentially hit his ear, or that he felt that he was in danger, he did the right thing by going down. Now, again, we don't know what other injuries the former president may have sustained in this moment. Again, the Secret Service, came immediately on top of.
So the suspected shooter and at least one rally attendee is dead, apparently. CNN is reporting here.
The detail leader would have been doing a rapid assessment to see if there were any secondary wounds, any other type of injury prior to moving the former president. We didn't get to see that because they were down behind that front shield, the bunting in the front of the stage. But that's what's going on with the Secret Service, all the while gaining intelligence and gaining information around what is the situation and ensuring scene safety before the president is moved.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll keep watching some of the stuff that's happening here. This is just going to be live coverage, it seems like. And I am going to let folks know if they want to join. Some of the folks on the team here. Forgive me, we're all doing it live. And the weekend crew for Syndicate 23 and Power Report is me. Carrie Shaw for the $20 super chat. Thank you very much for saying thank you for covering this. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your support. We really appreciate it, and your support like that makes it possible. Pinkerbell with initial reactions. Also Pinkerbell, thank you for renewing your subscription. I just saw that yesterday, so appreciate you for that. But Pinkerbell saying this is just going to make him look cool. Yes. This is now going to be the contrast between Donald Trump, the guy who survived his own political assassination, and Joe Biden, the guy who can't complete sentences. And, like, Bam and I had this conversation about, and Christina was on too. We had this conversation about, the substance of Biden's presidency and his performance, and even some of his like more recent speeches and flubs and things he said, versus how it's perceived. And this is one of those things that, it's not looking good. It's really not looking good. if you want to just see, because we're just checking analysis of what kind of things are happening on the news channels, because this is a very this is a lot, y'all. Let's turn to, do I really want to? Yeah, we do want to see what's on Fox right now, actually, because they are going to be the ones lapping this up. Okay, let's see how Fox is doing right here. We now turn to Fox already in progress, and you're gonna see they have some clips of the rally too, of course, as they're covering.
We're now in the middle of this investigation, but again, across the political spectrum, we're hearing with a uniform voice Bill denouncing what has happened today, and as we learn a little bit more about it, we do know the former president is doing just fine.
Okay, we're going to hear from a lot of people as we go throughout the evening. We're just at the very beginning of what will be a significant American story. Paul Morrill joins us, former NYPD inspector. And Paul, welcome to our coverage. Your observations based on your own experience.
Well, first of all, if the reporting is accurate and we do have a victim that has succumbed to his or her wounds, that's just so tragic here. It looked for a while there that the only casualty would be that apparently minor wound to Donald Trump. Now, if the incident is indeed over, starts the backwards scrub, right? You got to figure out how this person was able to do what he or she.
Okay, so they're just like kind of pontificating right now. They have I skipped back a little bit behind to what was going on, because all they had were like talking to some former like New York Police Department inspector who's like, of course it's in New York, that's the closest person they could contact here. Yeah, we're about to get into this like really awkward annoying game here where there's going to be speculation about who the shooter was, their identity, what their motives may have been, and it's going to be I hate to use the word, but like it's going to be a media bloodbath. I'm texting Emma right now. Just like, it's so bad. I, for one, so the way the Republican media is going to react to this right now, like you just have the Fox News weekend crew, right? But what you're going to start to see, and I can almost imagine this immediately, having not opened Twitter threads, the usual suspects yet, but you're going to have the usual Republican conspiracy theories, because that's going to help them sell Donald Trump as a political philosophy at this point, especially. But you're also going to get you're also going to get conservatives saying that, oh, was this shooter actually trans, or were they black, or were they some like Antifa DEI activist or whatever. They're going to tie everything that Republicans have been using to campaign against Democrats and liberals, every straw man argument they've been using over the past 4 years that PowerPoint has covered diligently, whether it was Dr. Seuss and the book bans, and genderqueer and what books you can have and be read, and all these other different things. Like, yeah, just some initial thoughts from people that are here. I think people are thinking this is going to like lead to America becoming an even further a police state, but I also tend to believe that as well. Desi F saying, the level of sympathy he will get for this, goddamn the level of dictatorship he'll be able to institute if he wins. The Supreme Court says he can do anything he wants to as long as it's official. So if he feels like he has the pretense to say, well, they tried to assassinate me, So I'm going to use assassination level force against my political enemies because my political enemies are willing to use assassination level force against me. We're here. We're here. I didn't think we would get here this quickly, but like, we're here. That's exactly how it's going to work too. This is going to be used as such a moment, such a justification for what Donald Trump wanted to do to begin with. There's another person reportedly in serious condition as well. So that's 2 dead, including the shooter. The other dead's an audience member, and there's someone else in serious condition. Here is an emergency doctor who spoke with someone in the crowd and what their reaction was to what they saw. I'm going to play that right now on the screen here. This is courtesy of Jake Rosen from CBS News.
That's exactly where I heard him come from.
What did you see, sir?
I heard the shots. I thought it was firecrackers to begin with. Somebody over there was screaming, he's been shot, he's been shot. So I made my way over. I said, I'm an emergency department physician. Let me help you. The guy had spun around, was jammed between the benches. He had a headshot here. There was lots of blood, and he had brain matter there.
Oh,
and
no.
so I got him. There's a helicopter coming in to get him. I got people there really helpful. I got
Was
him
there only
up
one
on the
person
bench.
shot that you saw?
Then I did CPR, did chest compressions as well as I breathed for him.
One person.
I was the only one who did it.
need to evacuate everybody.
Hunter, that's exactly where I heard.
Yeah, so I mean, apparently this is a doctor who tried to save, saying that like there was someone who was shot and they tried to render life-saving aid, but there was like brain matter supposedly all over him. So very, very graphic stuff there. Yeah, we've been trying to warn you on Power Report the whole time. The fascism's already here. It didn't need to take something like this to prove that or for that to happen. It is just simply already ready to go. I'm just gonna read some other things that are. Looks like Twitter's not really doing well handling the traffic, which is not completely unsurprising, I'll say. There are. Oh God. Yeah, of course, the law enforcement officials are investigating it. It's just really interesting. The news is falling out right now. It's really going to be curious how the response comes out of this. I think Joe Biden really needs to drop out now. I think this is the answer from God Almighty that he might have been looking for. Brian McCollum saying we have crossed into an era of political violence. I think I would agree to some extent, but I would also say that we've been in this era of political violence already, if that makes sense, right? I think a lot of the shootings, I'm thinking all the way back to Trayvon Martin during the Obama years, right? I think that's political violence. I think the racial shootings that have happened in this country for a while have been political violence. I think you can definitely say in 2020 with the George Floyd protests, and even then before that, there's been a lot of instances of political violence, whether it's police cracking down on protesters practicing their First Amendment peacefully in numerous cases during the Trump administration, some of which I covered when I was in college, and I was just like starting to record and get things on there. But I think that we've already crossed that point. This is just, of course, when it gets the height of the presidency, it is really, really bad. Mars Falcon on the shoes moment. If his shoes were off doing their own thing, maybe they did whatever it was that happened that everyone is pining on with zero data. Perhaps his shoes should be questioned. I suspect his shoes. Thank you for bringing some levity to the idea here. The Republicans are the Republicans are rabid right now. They're loving this. Apparently, the BBC has an interview with a guy who, and someone recorded this off their TV, so we'll take it with that. Let me see if I can get the better version of it. But apparently, the BBC has an interview with a guy who saw the shooter as it was going down. One second. I'm just trying really hard to get to. Yeah, no, I don't have the regular video anywhere here, it appears like. It's just the split screen. Okay, so I'll play this video I have here. Someone recorded from their TV, so it's not the best audio quality. Apologies for that.
Who was here? You weren't inside the event, but you were just outside. Tell us what you saw.
So we had a party here all day. You can see behind us at the Brinkles Farming Greenhouse here. We had a party, and we all decided, hey, when we hear Trump up there, we're going to walk up through the field, stand by the trees up there under the shade, and watch and listen to the rally. Right? We couldn't see him, but we could hear him. So we walked up, and probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea, but we noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, and we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here.
Which is also just like a case to say, police show up, law enforcement shows up after crimes have happened. This protecting a presidential candidate, especially a former president, is one of Secret Service's most airtight situations. And it's a situation where Secret Service has to be right 1,000 times. The assassinators only have to be right once. But the ruse, that's supposed to be the first thing they check, like in the movies. The ruse.
We see him. He's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for 2 or 3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling the police and the Secret Service?
We were telling the police. We were pointing at them for the Secret Service, who were looking at us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time when we were standing by that tree.
Could they see
binoculars?
Could they see him?
Probably not. because the roof, the way the slope went, he was behind where they could see. But why is there not Secret Service on all of these roofs here? I mean, this is not a big place.
Did you see? I mean, obviously, everyone when the shooting started, everyone was very panicked. Did you see what happened to him at all?
Oh yeah, they blew his head off.
Okay, sorry.
Secret Service blew his head off.
Okay, just be careful because we don't quite know who's watching, but you're pretty sure they shot the guy.
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Yep.
You saw that happen?
Yep.
Okay.
I love that, like, American. Oh, they blew his head off for sure. Jules T saying, the country's so fucked. Pinkerbell, thanks for the correction that Lara Trump is a Republican Party co-chair. Cycle Forward Time saying, Dan, I'm honestly not buying this, not at all. Trump is real talk too big a target. People are hurt and killed, and that's so sad, but honestly, my gut tells me this is not real. Listen, if they staged like, okay, we're gonna get Donald Trump kind of hurt, but not really, I just don't really believe that. Look, like, the US president and any presidential candidate is just like a target, and you have to deal with these things as Secret Service and, like, as their security. A lot of major figures and, major dignitaries have this sort of thing to worry about. And listen, there'll be plenty of conspiracy theories that are made about this moment, as are all political assassination attempts, and like actual assassinations have conspiracy theories and conspiracies that actually happen. Likely we'll continue to uncover things as the days go on, but this event happened an hour and a half ago at most, so we can't actually tell too much of it. Someone was saying apparently a Republican member of Congress has already tweeted that Joe Biden sent the orders for the shooting and should be indicted for it. Yeah. I think, honestly, like, I don't know if there's that much here to get in. But Cold Dog saying, has anything come out about the shooter? The only thing that's come out is that the shooter has been killed. They reportedly had a rifle, and they were not in the event, but they were staged on a roof that was overlooking the event. In a way that apparently there was at least one eyewitness who spoke to BBC News a moment ago who said that they saw him coming. And we're trying to point him out, at least after shots were fired. But yeah, that's what I've got for now. I think I'm going to end it there because we're not going to get any more information, but this is just a momentous, huge occasion. Yeah. What does this mean? I got to get there. Yes. This is the act from God from which Joe Biden mentioned. He said that when he was speaking to George Stephanopoulos, that only an act of God could convince Joe Biden to step aside. And then Joe Biden recently said in that press conference that there might have to be a situation where delegates at the convention vote where they want to, and they have Joe Biden's blessing, but his advisors would have to tell him there is no hope for him. And a galvanized populace around Donald Trump who will be paying extra attention to him because they will think that this is America. You don't need the facts. People will just believe, oh, because he was shot, that must mean he was trying to do something. You know what? Biden would have been able to play the same thing. Like, if someone went after a Democratic Party candidate and tried to assassinate them this close to an election, the Democrats could make a case about how far the right wing has taken this country, and it would be correct. And I would be making that case, and everyone would be making that case, and the Republicans would look very bad. You'd have people who would, on the other side, come out in support of Joe Biden because of that. That's how that dynamic works. It doesn't need pundits actually people will just make these connections on their own because it feels like a very, life or death thing. It really could have been for right there. So, I will, for better or worse, maybe ill-advised, maybe not, at least say that I did tweet this the other day, and I may need to take it down soon. So yeah. As I said during the end of the last Power Report episode, mobilize. Sorry, organize first and then mobilize, because these next 4 years, these next 4 months are going to be a ride. So yeah, the power is within you. Please be careful out there. Please be safe out there. And get ready for the police state. Because every type of political assassination like that in pretty much any country always coincides with a crackdown on political speech and political opponents in general. And so it's going to be really crucial for us to, support each other and watch our P's and Q's. So yeah, I'm going to end it there on the old, just leave the banner running and be silent, because that's what we're dealing with right now. And yeah. Peace. That's all I can say. Peace.